check this out. Again? I feel like I already refilled that not long ago. Now I want you guys to know I just refilled that tank like 3 minutes ago and it's still saying it's low. So sometimes it catches that it's full, but then sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the video. I intentionally waited to do a video on this topic because I don't think that this is good news. So I'm going to read an article to you guys today, and I'll discuss with you something that we need to be focusing in on. We have to work together right now. I was really hoping that diesel exhaust fluid was going to be an option. I did a video on this probably a month ago. I said it would be really nice to see diesel exhaust fluid not just go away, but be an option. That way, if you allow your tank to run dry and you just don't want to fill it up anymore, then it wouldn't really matter. But we knew that was a pipe dream. But we're going to read an article in this video, but I really want you guys to be focusing in on your diesel exhaust fluid usage. Listen to me. Don't be shocked if they change something to where your truck uses more diesel exhaust fluid. I'm just saying. This is a local news article here. It says that the agency administrator Lee Zeldin announced Tuesday for engine and equipment manufacturers to prevent sudden shutdowns and power losses that occur in diesel exhaust fluid or DEF systems. Zeldin made the announcement at the Iowa State Fair and said that current DEF regulations were unacceptable. It is unacceptable that farmers, truckers, construction workers, and many other small businesses continually experience failures of diesel-powered equipment when they need it most, costing millions of dollars in lost productivity. Now, most people know what DEF is and how it works. It was introduced in the mid-2000s. Some manufacturers adopted it sooner than others, so it was pretty much mandatory in the 2010s. But it says here, according to a press release from EPA, these regulations brought the machinery in line with the agency's emission standards, but caused significant disruptions in logistics, agriculture, and construction. In many cases, a DEF sensor failure would cause a vehicle to derate to as low as 5 miles per hour or become inoperable. So if you guys remember, I think that GM had like a shortage for like the DEF system for like a sensor, and I want to say that they created some software where you can basically run your truck without DEF. I would have to do some research. I think one of my friends might have some information on that. If he watches this video, he might give us a little bit more guidance on that. But I remember GM pickups not having a part available with that system, and so they did some software to allow people to keep using their trucks. But here it says, Zeldin's announcement tasks new diesel on-road trucks beginning with model year 2027 to be engineered such that running out of DEF will not cause sudden and severe power losses. EPA has also created guidance to help manufacturers make software changes that will similarly prevent DEF derating on vehicles that are already in use. Let's talk about this really quickly. Have you guys noticed a dip in your miles per gallon for your diesel exhaust fluid? See, I didn't drive my truck much this year, but in the summertime, your truck doesn't use as much diesel exhaust fluid. Now in the wintertime, your truck will use more. Now, I have towed a little bit more so, because I've been doing more towing videos, but my truck has been going through some diesel exhaust fluid. So here's what I'm going to start doing. I want to start monitoring how much DEF my truck is using. And I want you guys to really take note of this too. This is something that we have to watch because software updates can allow your truck to utilize more diesel exhaust fluid. I want to do a video on my regions too because you guys know I have the Banks iDash Pro. And if you would like to buy one, I recommend you get one. That way you can really monitor when your truck is doing a regen. I've been regenning quite a bit on my truck, and I don't really remember my Cummins doing this. Now, as I've said, I never really paid attention on my GMC, but now that I have the monitor, I've been noticing the regens have been a little bit more frequent. So with this software update, these companies could potentially want the manufacturers to allow the trucks to use more DEF. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I think we should be monitoring these things just in case, because greed is a problem in our country. And even though Americans don't own companies that create DEF, there's just distributors here. That's something else that made me laugh too, is we knew that this was coming. Why didn't America, the government, try to help create businesses here in America that would develop DEF? But there's just distributors here in America, but not anyone that actually develops that I could find. I just did a little bit of research here. And most of the companies out there are like Netherlands, China, Japan. Now, we do have companies that create like SCR, which is the selective catalyst reduction systems here, like Cummins, for example, and another company out here. But it was pretty interesting how we have no company that actually develops diesel exhaust fluid. They just have distributors here that buy it from other countries. It's just crazy to me how we don't help American people out here. Just crazy. But let's keep reading this article. I'm not going to read all this to you guys, but this basically talks about nitrous oxide and how DEF helps to reduce it from diesel exhaust, and how the EPA categorized nitrous oxide as having a atmospheric warming qualities 265 times greater than carbon dioxide. So yeah, now right here, this is the sad part. This is what I want you guys to see. Zeldin's plan would not completely eliminate DEF systems, but would significantly extend the amount of time between when the system fails and when machinery capacity is reduced. When I read that part of the article, that song played in my head. I don't know why, because it just goes to show you that it's going to take a lot of work for them to be able to eliminate emissions control systems on these trucks. I don't think it's going to happen. I told you guys this. It sucks. I really think that this is not that big of a deal. They're going to obviously help companies not have downtime on their machinery when they have failures of systems. But is this going to create more usage on diesel exhaust fluid? I know some of you guys believe that by the end of this decade, you're going to get some great news about new trucks rolling off the assembly line without emissions control. And I'm here to tell you that part of the article explains exactly what they're trying to do. They're not trying to remove emissions control, even under this administration. Their goal is to simplify it, make it easier for the consumer to live with emissions equipment. That's it. Now, I'm still hopeful that maybe one day they'll say, hey, if you decide you want to remove some of the emission equipment, you have the right to do so without any repercussions. That would be amazing, because you guys know my truck now can be put on weight loss program. I'm still doing my research because, I don't know much about deleting. So I'm now having to start my process of writing down some stuff, pros and cons. I mean, you guys know I don't just jump into anything. I have to understand it before I do it. But regardless of that, the day will never come, at least anytime soon, where we're going to see trucks rolling off the assembly lines without emissions equipment. It's just not going to happen. But here's what I'll tell you. The manufacturers should have always had the consumer's best interests. They knew that this emission equipment was going to reduce fuel economy, reduce reliability, and the life of these engines. And years later, there hasn't been any groundbreaking development to make these systems better. But what we do know is, based off of what Lee Zeldin said, when you think about the greenhouse gas findings, right? They didn't just say, okay, we found a way to help with this. Let's just try this and see how it works. No. They kept adding more and more and more emissions control, right? And I kind of get it now. And it's kind of funny. Like, you guys want to laugh with me? So the EPA, the government, and obviously whomever else is involved in this thing, said, how stupid are truck buyers who want their diesel? How bad do they want their diesel engines? So they kept adding more and more emissions control. And as we keep buying these trucks, like, how stupid are they to keep buying these trucks? So we'll keep adding more and more. So you guys know, if you know who won the election last November, they were going to be rolling out even more emissions control on these trucks. Now, I'm sure they're going to roll it back now, but my point is they are doing this to keep people from buying these trucks. That's why they keep adding more, because they are winning in the sense. I'm willing to bet you a lot of people have decided to go away from diesels simply because of this stuff. And you guys have seen people in the comment section say, I haven't bought a truck in 10 years simply because of all this stuff. Or I haven't bought a truck in 20 years. Like, I've seen guys who still have 1990s trucks because they just don't want to buy trucks with this emission control. So as I've said in the past, I will keep saying this. You're not going to probably see a delete option anytime soon. You're probably not going to see emissions equipment ever coming off these trucks, because what's done is done. And to undo all this stuff would take a lot of work, a lot of effort. And I really believe that they should, at the very least, give people the option to take it off if they don't want. Because remember, deleting a truck is expensive. If I want to delete my truck right now, because there is availability for me to do so, and I'm doing that research, it would cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000. It's a lot of money. And I'm not going to say that I can afford it or not, but it's a lot of money, and a lot of people don't have that kind of cash lying around, because realistically, how much more efficient is your engine going to get? You might get 2 to 3 mpg better. That's probably about where you're going to get it. And as time goes, your truck will be more reliable. But how long do you plan on keeping your truck? So there's a lot of questions I have to ask myself. Is it worth doing this? And of course, if I do it now, I'm going to potentially lose my factory warranty. And when I say potentially, that means if I have any issues with my truck, because you guys know the oil cooler is still something that's happening, and obviously this 10-speed transmission, if those fail, then I potentially would have to pay that out of pocket. So that's the other issue that I have with doing it right now. So I hope this was helpful. Like I said, watch your DEF consumption starting now. Do it now. Take note of what you're getting. I mean, I would just venture to say do it monthly and just top off. That way you have a good rolling number of your average that you're getting, because I'm willing to bet you we're going to probably see higher consumption of DEF in the future. I'm just speculating here. But if they're going to be doing software updates, especially with them rolling back on this type of regulation, that tells me that companies have to make their bottom line, which is, hey, we'll throw some kickbacks out there, and if the manufacturer's willing to take more money, not saying they would ever do that to the consumer, but if they want to update the software to where these trucks use more DEF, they can do that. So watch your consumption and just keep note of it. Later.